welcome back to the Protagonist seat. I'm Alex.
And I am Ian.
And we have chosen, so far, 8 shows. I don't know if we're probably going to do like 2 or 3 more. Not everything's aired yet at the time of this recording.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff we can just kind of skip over too. But I think we've got a pretty good spread so far.
All right, the first show we are going to talk about is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
I was a big fan of this one. I thought I expected something real weird, and I got what I expected, but I was still pleasantly surprised a little bit.
So the start of the episode is just this like 30-something-year-old dude going on about how he's like, I've never had sex, but you know what? I'm okay. I'm happy with me. I'm okay with me.
It starts kind of like you would expect, just an office work, slice of life romance, and then it just takes a turn.
Or he's just the regular dude, and then he meets his kohai, his junior at work, and he's like, "Hey, this is my girlfriend." He's like, "Wow, you're a famous lady." And then after some dude sprints he's got at least like a good 10 seconds where someone could have done something.
He starts at 3 city blocks away, and he goes for it, and no one does a single thing until the last second.
No one thinks hey, maybe I should put my foot out. Maybe I should say, someone stop that guy. And I like how he's constantly in the position of ready to stab.
He is. There is no mistaking what this guy is doing. He is assumed anime stabbing position number 1.
He's not running oh, that he's just running. He's got it forward. You'd think anybody would have done something.
Nope.
And immediately he throws himself obviously to save his friend and his girlfriend, and then gets stabbed. And I love how overplayed the death scene is.
Oh, it's great.
Where it's he's rolling around on just coughing up blood, spitting it up everywhere. Meanwhile, the isekai world's all right, programming you with new abilities. He's oh, so cold, so cold.
All right, cold resistance. Let's check that off the list.
So much pain, so much pain.
All right, here we go. Get some pain nullification down there. Oh, you're a little hot. Let's just get the heat resistance too.
And then his last words are basically, get rid of everything on my hard drive. Take it and destroy the entire thing. You can't just delete it.
Draw a bath and dump my computer in it. Which his friend does while plugged in, I'll add. He takes a plugged-in computer and just drops it right into a bathtub. Was it plugged in? It was plugged in.
I didn't even notice.
I remember even seeing a little disclaimer on the screen that's like, hey, don't do this. Don't ever do this. For the kids at home, don't put plugged-in electrical appliances in large bodies of water. It's a bad idea. It's how you electrocute yourself. That's a little safety tip just from me to you.
I found just pretty much everything about his death just even the way it was done, they're making it super emotional, but it's almost comedic the whole time.
Yeah, because you literally don't know this person. You just met him 5 minutes ago.
I like how it's a serial stabber too. Normally it's a truck, so it's just an instant thing. Instead we have the full just everyone's standing over him and he's just gargling up blood.
It happens. It takes a long time. This dude dies forever. And that makes me think, if that dude died and he died forever, I want to die forever too, just so I can just list off as many OP abilities as I can, so I can just be all right, no pain, super strength, I can fly, immune to elements, give me magic powers.
I picture you're in a plane that's going down, and the whole time everyone's freaking out and screaming, you're just there I can shoot fireballs, laser beam eyes, invisibility.
All right. What? Immune to impact. Give me super armored scales. I want to be able to speak every language, and then the plane just hits.
You only get as many as you can list off.
And I come back as an OP demi-lich.
Can I have super speed? You don't get that one. You didn't say it in time.
You were just a little too slow. Damn it. So now I'm super OP, but now I'm real slow all the time. But anyway.
And then he gets isekai'd, and he wakes up, and I thought they were going to keep the same voice for him, too, the grown man, but instead he's got, a higher-pitched voice, and he's this little slime that looks like He's just a gooey sphere with like, the constant squinting eyes.
He is every slime you've ever seen in any RPG ever. Just a generic little ball of color.
And his whole shtick is whatever he eats, he can basically know the properties of.
And gain the powers for.
Yeah, so
I remember that being said.
And so he basically is just going around, eating all the plants, eating all the rocks, figuring out everything. And then he meets a dragon.
Yeah, he's in a cave with just a dragon. And there's a dragon there, and he becomes friends with the dragon because the dragon is lonely.
I like how it's like a tsundere dragon where he's like, all right, I'll be your friend. It's not like I wanted you to be my friend.
You would be friends with me, a dragon? Well, I mean, I guess I can just leave if you want. No, you could be my friend if you want. That's fine. That's okay. I guess.
I think I have high hopes for it. I know he gets like a human form later on, like, because you can see it in like the opening.
Yeah.
But like, I think he he switches back and forth.
In the opening, it does show him like switching back and forth, which could show like some interesting things to do in combat.
Yeah, because he can eat anything. I think he can get like any sort of like power of what he eats. So it's constantly like shape shifting.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. I
see people comparing it to Overlord, and I'm like, like more in the sense of like, people trying to like, I guess like argue the fan bases, like start a fan base war where because they both got OP like abilities.
I guess so. I could see that. Yeah, I can understand where they're coming from there. I don't think it's that apt of a thing just because...
Yeah, it's like tone-wise, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Where like Ainz is like a raid boss, basically.
Yeah, he's just a dude who just becomes a raid boss and is like, well, I guess I gotta figure out how this goes now. And this is just he's a slime, and he needs to figure out how to be a good slime. And he has a dragon buddy. That's gonna be neat. Yeah. I
wonder, like, if he ate the dragon, could he be the dragon? Obviously he wouldn't, but like,
Gets like all the dragon's abilities. That sounds like some end of season stuff where they come across some enemy that is just so powerful the dragon's like, you gotta eat me, slime buddy.
I just realized
the only way.
He's fucking Kirby.
Yeah, he is.
He's Kirby. He could just eat everything and get its powers.
He's blue Kirby with no feet. Yeah. Or eyes.
Or hands.
Or like anything. He's just a slime. Yeah. I do think that it's got some good potential. I like the two characters I've met so far. I am a little curious to see if it does continue to switch back to the real world. I don't see why it would, because it's like...
Yeah, I don't think it would either.
The computer in the bathtub bit is over. We don't really need any more of that.
It looks like it has a neat cast of characters. Originally, I thought it was just going to be like a harem, but then I saw like he's got some like Oni dude that's like, ends up joining his party.
He joins what appears to be a bunch of monsters.
Yeah, like ones that looks like an orc.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the other characters. Hopefully they have just as much personality as like the dragon, or hell, even the slime. The slime is more interesting of a character than some of the main characters in the other series we watched.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows with a lot of like, we didn't take Reride. That one's not going to be on the list, but yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to watch a main character wander around in the future and be like, my priorities are off, but I gotta do the thing.
But since we're moving off talking about another show, I think that's all that's left to be said about slime.
Yeah, I think reincarnation. It's about time. Yeah, it's about time to mosey on forth. So we're gonna move on to something that I was very excited for and was very happy that it ended up being good. It's Goblin Slayer. Basically, there is, if anybody has any Dungeons and Dragons experience, it's basically Dungeons and Dragons. There's a fantasy world, adventurers go out and slay monsters, and then it starts following a rookie party where basically day one of these people adventuring out into the world, and they're like, hey, goblins came and abducted these people, stole all this stuff. We're going to go kill the goblins.
And goblins are easy. They're like a level 1 enemy.
Goblins are a level 1 enemy. Except I could tell, I did like this detail. I could tell on because in the adventuring tavern, I guess,
it's like a guild hall.
Yeah, the clerk in the guild hall.
Yeah, and her name is Guild Woman, I think. Because no one has actual names in this series. People are just called either their class or whatever they do. Like the priestess, that's her name. That's priestess.
One of the main characters is priestess. The other is the namesake of the show, Goblin Slayer. He shows up later because first, Guild Woman, she sees these rookie adventurers like, yeah, they're goblins, they're easy, we'll just go in and wipe them out. And the look on this woman's face is great because she's like, oh no.
No. She's like, hey, you guys sure you don't want to wait for somebody? I think someone else might come in who might want to, partake in that quest too.
You never know. Some higher level adventurers might come in. More experienced. You could buy some more potions and stuff.
But this dude's got a headband. He's not gonna wait.
He's got a headband. He has the bandages on his face. Dude is ready to fight some goblins.
He's like, I'm the protagonist. Look at me.
And they go into the cave, and everything goes wrong pretty much immediately. Like, I would say about 5 minutes into cave time, everything goes wrong.
And the things, I remember I was thinking too, if it was actual D&D, the part where when they walk into the cave and he first bangs his sword against the ceiling, I'd be like, well, now they know we're here. We should probably reevaluate our situation. They're like, nah, let's the frontliners just run ahead. Like him and the monk girl, they just run off and leave the priestess and the mage lady behind.
It is literally everything you don't want to do in any good Dungeons and Dragons adventuring party.
They split the party.
The dude bangs his sword on the ceiling and is like, oh, that'll never come up again. And as I was sitting watching it, I was like, that's immediately going to come up in the near future. And it does.
It's like, I got a big long sword that I'm going to swing around in this tiny ass cave corridor.
In these tight confines of this cave. So, our party adventures in forward, and they get fucked from behind immediately. Basically, they go past a cave, or a separate split off that they failed to notice. Goblins come out, and they fuck the backliners first. Because that's strategy 101.
Yep, the goblins have more strategy than these guys.
Yeah, and they wreck the shit out of them.
Oh yeah, it's graphic.
It's bad. There is lots of very slow stabbing. There's a lot of
screaming.
From
everybody.
Oh, everybody.
Everybody is screaming, but the priestess who's too scared to even make a sound. She's
in dead zone out 1,000-yard stare mode at this point because
they're stabbing the mage chick on
they stab her once in the stomach. That is brutal as hell. They just and it's not like a hard stab or a quick stab. It's just kind of like
a puncture.
Yeah, they just we could just get one kidney and be fine. And it's brutal. And she's out of commission, basically, from then on, because she's poison. Because goblins used goblin poison.
Also, this wasn't mentioned in the thing, but since I read, the first chapter of the light novel, they make their poison often out of their own feces.
Oh my god.
Yep.
That is terrible.
They got feces running through them.
It does track for goblins, though. They're gross little creatures, and they're terrible, and everyone hates them.
Side note, I just keep noticing every time we're talking, I'll look at you and not at where the mic is, and I'll constantly see the wave, getting smaller. I'm like, oh yeah, because the mic's over here.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep more of an eye on my positioning to the microphone, because I noticed I've been doing that as well. So, Mage Chick gets absolutely fucked. She manages to get one spell off and kill one goblin before they just swarm her and wreck her.
Because turns out they're really good at swarming people.
Yeah, who'd have thought? All the little green goblin dudes are real good at swarming people and just kind of stabbing them over and over and over again.
And then the dude who's like, I look like a protagonist. I'm meant to be a protagonist. He runs for it and starts doing pretty good at first.
He does all right. He kills a couple of them.
But remember that thing that they kind of foreshadowed, that his sword's too long?
Oh, you mean that part when he slapped his sword against the ceiling of the cave?
Yeah.
I didn't think that would ever come up again.
He does it again, but this time he just,
Exactly.
flies out of his hand. He just, oops.
He is freaking out. So he slaps his sword a little too hard against the ceiling, loses his grip, and all the goblins are on him. And dude gets fucked real hard.
I got cut off his hand after, too.
Yeah. It's brutal.
They're just...
For a show that shows surprisingly little gore in the actual, fighting of that and them hacking up the people, they still did a real good job of making it seem real brutal and uncomfortable. Ugh.
And then the monk chick was I'll say, to the priestess and the downed mage chick, she's like, you guys run, I'll hold them off. And then she kicks one, Giga Goblin.
Yeah, it does the foot catch thing where she goes to kick a hobgoblin and then he catches her leg.
Who's double the size of all the other ones.
And you know that scene in the Avengers when Thor slams Loki into the ground all the time? He does that to this poor monk girl. And then it only gets worse from there. Yeah,
then they all the goblins surround her, and then you're like, oh, are they gonna stab her too? No.
Now it has entered the goblin rape portion of our program, and they show a lot. They showed a lot more than I thought they were gonna show.
Yeah, it's they hold on it just long enough where you know what's happening.
There's no misunderstandings with what's going on. It is very clear what the goblins want, and they get it, and it's horrible.
And then you have the priestess go basically grab the mage chick and limp away.
Yep, she tries to heal her mage member of the mage member of her party, and then that doesn't work for some reason. I wonder why.
Could it be the poison?
Could it be the poison? As soon as it didn't work, I was like, oh, they poisoned her. They have poison blades because they're shitty little creatures, so of course they have poison weapons.
And while they're walking, she gets shot with an arrow, and then goblins start to show up, and you're like, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden, there he is.
Just walking through the cave in the background. Oh, the scene is so good.
Our guy.
Our boy. The number one boy. Wearing a full suit of plate armor. Just carrying his shield and the torch.
And the first thing he just slams it into the wall with his shield and just burns it with the torch.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's just keeping count, 1.
It's so
2.
good. I love it. He does it so mechanically that he just, it's so good. As soon as he shows up, I fell in love with this character. And
he's tactical about every way he takes him down.
Yeah. He goes through weapons like freaking Gilgamesh from Fate Zero, just I've used this one once, that's it, I'll just throw
I like
it
how
away.
he's constantly upgrading his armory, where he'll just throw one, pick up one of theirs, and just completely just start just smashing them with it, and then when that one's done, he just grabs a new one.
Because he doesn't care. They're all disposable. He ends up saving our heroine, finds out that she only has 2 spell slots left.
And instead of having her use the heals, he's like, nah, use the flash of light.
Yeah, because he uses them for traps to trick the goblins. But we should also mention at this point, he shows up and she's like, you have to save my friend. And he looks at her and he's like, she's dead. She was poisoned, so healing's not going to work. I have an antidote, but it's too late right now.
And then the girl's just
oh,
kill me, and coughing up blood.
And
he's
he
like, okay.
Does.
Just walks over and
just cold as hell, pulls a dagger that was stuck between the plates of his armor by one of the goblins and just stabs her right in the throat with it. Oh, it's cold. I was very impressed with his conduct.
And then he basically has the priestess help him take down the goblins by coming up with a plan to beat them using her spell slots.
Yeah, she uses both spell slots to blind people. The first one, because he's like, hold on, there's a shaman in here. So they go.
Yeah, they lure out the hobgoblin.
They lure out the hobgoblin. They go and they blind everybody.
And they make like a tripwire, so when they run out, they'll like trip over it.
Yeah. And the hobgoblin trips, and he takes his short sword and just stabs it right into his head and just leaves it.
And then he pours a bunch of like gasoline over him.
Yeah.
Rolls him back into the room and then lights him on fire.
And just he burns a couple goblins that way. And then he complains about the murder economy of the gasoline. He's like, that wasn't nearly as effective as it should have been for what it cost.
He's like, yeah, I expected it to be way more like, kill way more goblins. That's how he thinks, murder economy. How many goblins can this kill?
With this amount of coin, how can I most effectively economize my money to kill the most amount of goblins?
I like how when he shows up too, he gives her a potion. And like earlier in the episode where she's like, do you guys have any potions? And they're like, nope.
That is like, oh, what an idiot. How do you just go out with no potions? But we are veterans of the Dungeons & Dragons universe, so we know these things.
I like how too when they get in there, I think one of my favorite scenes is after they cleared the place out, and he goes back and he opens the door of like all like the like you see all like the like baby goblins.
Oh yeah.
And then she's like, "Do you have to kill them too?" And he's like, "Yeah, they hold grudges for life, so they'll grow up and try to like learn from like how we fought. Like they'll learn our tactics." And she's like,
they'll adapt.
Like, what if there was a good goblin? He's like, there might be one if we looked real hard. Yeah. But the only good goblin is one that never comes out of its stinking hole.
Yeah.
And then he just goes and he just smashes all of them. And it's just...
Dude murders baby goblins super hard. And it's great. Because it's another one of those things where it's super brutal. And you know it's super brutal. But they don't show you it directly. Which is something I'm actually kind of a fan of.
I noticed they use, like, the audio of it a lot. Like, you hear things happening. And that's, like, enough.
Good sound design goes a long way. And I think this really has a lot of very good sound design in it. Because I know some of the problems I had with the other stuff I watched was like, the sound design is real bad. So it takes you out of the experience. However, since this has very good sound design, you're in it. You're right there with them. You feel the splats. You can feel the blood on your face. And it's like, gross, this is goblin blood. It's probably got some sort of curse to it.
I like how they even had them cover themselves in goblin blood.
Yeah.
It's like we gotta mask our scent.
We need to mask our scent. Get used to the scent of blood. Every line that comes out of this man is amazing.
I feel like he's badass without being like edgy.
Yeah.
Just because it's like he's just a like he's almost he's
done it so much. He is a silver. Okay, so the heroes all have different ranks. Porcelain is the bottom rank. And Guildwoman says to the
I think like
priestess.
She explains it a lot in the book too. I think silver's like 2 from the top.
Yeah, because it's silver, then gold, then platinum.
Yeah.
And I remember she said that silvers are usually the highest ranked adventurers in the field. So when this dude shows up and he's a silver...
And he only does goblins.
Dude only does goblins. He is a goblin extermination specialist.
He only takes goblin-related quests.
The priestess asks him how much he's done it, or if he's had any... Or if he practiced doing it. She asks him if he practiced doing it. And he says, yeah, a lot. Because that's all this man does.
He does one thing, and he does it better than anybody else.
He does it super well. And then there's kind of like a nice little ending where she comes back. There's a monologue about how apparently that happens all the time. People will, like groups of rookie adventurers will just go out to find goblins, and then they'll just get super fucked. And then they'll either go missing, wind up dead, or be horribly, horribly mentally broken by goblin rape. So she buys armor on his direction, and she goes back to the guild hall, and she encounters Goblin Slayer, and she's like, "Hey, Goblin Slayer, gonna go slay some goblins?" And he's like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do?" And she looks at him and she says, "I'm gonna come with you." And I was like, sold 100%. I am down. I like this. I like where it's going. You got me. You got me, Goblin Slayer. I anticipated good. You gave it to me.
It's funny because it's like I like the dynamic of it a lot too, where like how like the world views him, where he's doing something really important, but other adventurers in the series are just like goblins. Like, we're out fighting dragons and stuff. Look at this guy with goblins.
Look at this. We'll leave this idiot to his goblins.
But meanwhile, hey, look what goblins are doing to people.
Yeah, goblins are actually wrecking people super hard. So it's really good that this dude just goes out and messes up goblins all the time.
And think about it, like, at the rate they spread, if he wasn't out there constantly, like, they'd be way more of a problem.
Yeah, when they uncover the baby goblins in the pit, he says, "Goblins multiply fast." If we had waited just a little while longer, there would have been easily 50 goblins in this cave, and they would have just swarmed and attacked. We got lucky. And I was like, oh man, this man is the veteran action hero, killing goblins. I love him. I love him.
It made me think, like, oh, that'd be cool just to make a D&D character that just, like, almost make a parody of him where it's just, like, the Kobold Slayer.
Yeah.
Another, like, shitty, weak, like, creature that only he fights.
That would be good, too, because kobolds are very tricky creatures. So you could easily do that and just have, like, he comes in at, like, level 5 over the other adventurers. Just imagine getting to level 5 killing kobolds. You've been doing that for a long time.
Or, like, you get a guy who's at 20 and he's only ever killed kobolds.
A level 20 kobold slayer. Oh.
And this is like back in the day where everyone played in the same setting, so you could just bring your character sheet to other people's groups. It's just like, oh yeah, we're all just in Ravenloft. It's like, okay, cool, I'll be there. Oh man, your guys are like level like 18. What has he been doing? Kobolds.
Killing kobolds.
Just that.
Oh, well, we're gonna go kill a vampire lord.
See you guys.
Are his minions kobolds? No. Well, it was nice meeting you guys. See ya.
I'll be back some other time. Let me know if you ever have any trouble with some kobolds.
Yeah, just call me right up. I'll run right over if any kobolds show up.
They're sitting there like, this guy can't possibly. It's like, well, we're making new characters and we're going to fight some kobolds. Hey, are you free? Yeah, what's up? We're going to fight some kobolds and yeah, I'm almost there.
Ding dong. Holy shit. Yeah, I heard you got a kobold problem. What the? Were you waiting outside my house? I was summoned.
I know. I can smell it whenever there's a kobold problem.
I can sense kobolds. It's one of my unique abilities. That's why I'm the Kobold Slayer. I suppose we should probably give a little bit of time to the other stuff we watched.
Yeah, because we could go on about that just because it ties into other D&D stuff. I think we're good on fantasy shows, though, so we probably won't get pulled into like any of that for the rest of this.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
You know, with a title like that, you expect a certain type of thing. I was honestly surprised.
It's weird because I don't really know how to fully describe the plot. There's this dude who deadpan reacts to everything, who,
He's just a flat, sarcastic, cynical asshole about everything. And I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Just because it's not something you get a whole lot. It's something fairly unique.
I don't know, I feel like I see it a lot. But he has
you probably... You have more experience with most of the variations of stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me.
I found it interesting that he... The whole plot of the show is that he's hanging out in the library one day and he sees one of his classmates walking around dressed up as a bunny girl, and she's just kind of walking around the library, walking up to people, sitting on desks, and nobody notices but him. And so then she walks up to him and he's just like, she's like, oh, so you can see me? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, you should just forget about this whole thing. It won't do you any good. And then she just kind of leaves. And then he approaches her the next day, and she just kind of doesn't want to talk to him. And then they go to this other town, and I guess people can't see her there. And she used to be like a minor celebrity or something.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the whole shtick is, but basically some people can't see her.
Apparently she was fairly widely known on the internet for stuff. She was in like ads and I think she was a drama star as a child.
Yeah, she was like a child actor.
and then she stopped because there are inklings of some dark rumors from her past that caused her to stop pretty much her whole career.
And he believes her with this whole thing about the invisibility because his sister was once getting like cyberbullied, and for some reason all the cyberbullying affected her physically. Like she just got like cut in front of him when like nothing's like, cutting her. So I guess I guess these teenagers have like weird supernatural phenomenons happening to them.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it is a show that is trying to go for metaphor, but it's just doing it in a very strange way.
Yeah, because it's called like puberty syndrome or something.
It is. It is puberty syndrome, and it almost all the time relates to something related to the internet, I've noticed. Because a lot of the rumors, I don't know if they started it on the internet, but he was researching them on the internet, involved with his bunny girl senpai. And then his sister was cyberbullied, so it just sort of manifested physically.
His panda girl sister.
His panda girl sister, who doesn't leave the house.
Because she was bullied,
Yeah, so. She was bullied on the internet, so she doesn't leave the house. Because, you don't want to be in that internet when you go outside. There's too much of it out there. It's everywhere. You gotta
I feel like you're almost stuck with it in the house.
Yeah,
Actually, they said that's why he mentioned he doesn't really have a cell phone so she's just at home, not really, like, what is she doing all day?
That is a good question. So far, it seems like she sits around in her panda suit pajamas with their cat and just kind of hangs out with no internet because internet is bad, and he threw his phone into the ocean. And I did think the scene where she goes over to his house and meets his sister was kind of funny.
Oh yeah, and he's got a weird thing too where he's got like scratch marks across his chest where he doesn't know how they got there.
Looks like a big monster or something clawed him right in the chest.
It's funny, talking about this show makes me almost like, be like, man, that's kind of dumb, this whole thing.
Yeah,
I need some, like within the next 3 episodes, I need something to latch onto his end. Something like, oh, that's how this works.
Yeah, saying it out loud makes it sound a lot worse, and is actually starting to make me doubt most of the things I thought were interesting. Because, that's dumb. There are rumors with him as well, because
he hit a kid, he beat up a kid or something.
It's weird because there are rumors about him that he basically sent 2 kids to the hospital in like a fight or something, and then he at his house he was like, actually it was me that was sent to the hospital, and then he shows her the claw marks, and then that thing is weird, and I don't want to talk about it because it makes me uncomfortable. That whole scene just made me uncomfortable.
In fact, you know what? Like, he said this, but then this is what people are saying about it. A lot of it's not explained.
Yeah, it's not. It's a lot of vagaries. There's a lot of vagaries involved with this particular program.
This one's going to step it up next week.
Yeah, I agree.
This one's making me like, hey, why did we pick this one again?
Because it wasn't Reride or Radiant, or there was one other one that was, or any of the stuff that we just were like, that's dumb, and we're not going to watch that.
Yeah.
Very, very obviously homoerotic male idol one.
Yeah. Which, it might not be dumb. It's just not for us.
It's not our thing.
It's not our thing.
Doesn't have to be our thing all the time. So, I think that's just about everything with that.
Yeah, that's enough for this one because we'll give it the 3 episode rule,
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll give it an honest try.
And then we'll say, all right, I don't know what's going on, and the characters don't know what's going on, so
no one knows what the hell is going on.
I called the producer, I called the animation staff. They're sitting there scratching their we don't know what's going on.
I even called the voice actors. Turns out they don't we don't speak the same language. But you know what? That's fine. That was just more people not knowing what the hell is going on. But let's go to something that we actually kind of understand what's going on.
Oh, the pleasant surprise of this season.
Zombieland Saga. Hoo boy.
I can say that this so far is the... besides the stuff that obviously I like more, this is like my favorite like thing I had no like idea about before. Not like stuff I already knew about. Like, yeah, I knew about Goblin Slayer. I knew about JoJo. Out of all the other stuff, this one's so far my favorite.
Yeah, I had no real expectations for it. I kind of figured it would be like, oh, it's kawaii girls and zombie apocalypse. It is not that.
It is not a zombie apocalypse.
It is not that at all, and it makes me very happy.
The greatest opening scene, just a perfect tone setter, where this girl's just sitting there listening to music, and she's like, I'm about to go and have a great day of school. I'm about to, like, really live my life. And she's like, this is going to be my day. I can just feel it. And then she runs out into the street, and a truck just takes her out, and in slow motion, just
bam. And then heavy metal music.
While like her corpse is just flying through the air. Japanese
screamo while this girl's corpse flies through the air to blood-splattered credits. And that sets the tone for the show pretty well.
She wakes up then after in a house full of zombies, and she's freaked out, so she starts running away until she runs out into the rain, and then a police officer stops, and then he's like, hey, what are you doing out here? It's just past curfew. And then he freaks out when he looks at her.
Because it turns out she's a zombie too.
And I like how he shoots her, and then after, like, a shovel hits him in the head. And then you meet just the best character.
You meet
Necroducer.
Necroducer, one of my favorite dudes of all time.
He has a name, but that's just what I'm going to call him, because, I really like that. Necroducer.
It's really cool.
He's basically... She's the only, like, sentient zombie at first, where... she's in this house full of the other girls. She's a zombie. They're all zombies, but she's the only one that has, like, she can actually speak, formulate thoughts, whereas the other ones are just mindless undead.
She is the first to wake up, he says, and she is very confused about this. But that doesn't stop him. He's going to begin his plan immediately. He's not going to wait for any of the other girls to wake up. He's just like, we're doing this now. We got one, we'll make it last.
He wants to put the Saga Prefecture of Japan on the map by making them his idol group.
The regional idol industry is dying, and he is going to save Saga by making a regional idol group of zombie girls. And, oh man, hijinks ensue.
And you think, like, oh, he's just going to have them sing idol music? He's like, no, he's going to have them do screamo and do the head bob.
Oh, the headbanging is so good. Imagine just like a full waist like headbang with a broken neck. So you go all the way back and just slam forward.
He takes them to... He's like, yeah, so there's a show I have you guys doing. And she's like, but this is a metal place. He's like, it's the only place with an open mic.
And it is full of metal-loving fans. One dude in particular who has, like, he's got, like, a lightning bolt, like, strapped to his head. He has the weirdest costume ever. And he just shits on them the whole time until the headbanging starts.
And then they're just like, that's some serious headbanging.
It's like their necks are broken. And then it does a slow-motion scene where it's like, oh, their necks are broken.
Because it turns out once the metal starts playing, all the zombies just scream and headbang.
Yeah, so it's perfect. It works out as expected, pretty much.
I love the scene, too, where he's asked to, like, explain why they're zombies. Like, she's like, so wait, how'd this happen? He's like, you ever see a zombie movie before? And she's like, yeah. And they're both just sitting there in silence, and he's just like... And she's like, but that doesn't explain anything. And he's like, that should be all you need.
Is there more? Does there need to be more? Oh, it's great. He says that all the time. Because he's just, things are. Things are how they are. Do you need more? Why? Why do you need more than that?
Yeah, I feel like a guy who decided to raise a bunch of girls from undeath to make them an idol group doesn't really, like, the specifics aren't a big deal.
It feels like some good meta commentary where someone in the writing room was like, but wait, how do you actually do this? And someone else at the table said, do you really need to know that?
Is that the important part of this show?
But what if people ask? People know what they want. And then they put that into the show.
I also like
hilarious.
The reason that no one knows they're zombies too is because apparently he has Hollywood makeup skills, so they look just like they're alive whenever he puts makeup on them.
He's very good at makeup. You know, I gotta give the man props. He makes them look like they're alive, even though their like limbs are broken. And one girl chews on people all the time. Like he's explaining his plan to the main character, and she's like, this girl has been chewing on me for about the past 13 minutes. And okay, so here's how he controls the zombies. He gives them dried squid. That's how he tames them and makes them stop chewing on people. He has a
zombie dog too.
And the zombie dog is great. It looks like a cutesy little Pomeranian thing until it doesn't, and it looks terrifying.
Whenever it eats something, it's like...
And it's awesome.
And then at the end of the episode, all the other girls wake up besides one.
Yes. I believe it is because each girl has like their own legend. Oh yeah, each girl has their own legendary thing. And then the main character, who is just a schoolgirl, is like, but what's her she looks at another one of the girls who is a legend of something that is not explained. And she's like, but what's the legend? And the necroducer is just like, what's your legend? Huh?
Yeah.
Idiot.
You know, you're the only one I'm not going to call legendary anymore.
Yeah, you're no longer a legend. Oh, okay.
I like how they basically, after all of them wake up, it's just that one who doesn't wake up.
Yeah, and
the one who chews on people.
It descends into chaos pretty quickly.
I also noticed that one of the girls is, like, at the beginning of the episode, she was watching a, like, idol thing that was on her TV.
Yeah.
And that was one of the girls on there.
Yeah, that's right, because one of the girls
I went back and looked at
idol.
And I'm like, oh, the calendar is 2008, so it's 10 years later, which is
2018.
It's current.
So if you go to the Saga Prefecture and you see in any death metal club open mic nights a group of young girl idols screaming death metal, don't get too close, because they're zombies and they'll chew on you. Yeah, that's it. You know, the important lessons.
That's the important lesson. And more monster girls in the next one.
Oh boy.
With Miss Vampire, who lives in my neighborhood.
This one is stupid, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's not the strongest contender on this list whatsoever. But you know what? Actually, currently, Bunny Girl Senpai is not the strongest contender on this list.
That's true.
This somehow has that beat out just a smidge.
Well, it had points that actually made me chuckle at it.
Yeah, it was better than I expected it to be.
I enjoyed parts of it. Basically, this girl she's in middle school, right? She's a middle schooler?
Yeah, they're middle schoolers.
She's a middle schooler, and she's obsessed with dolls. So when she hears the story of, like, a spooky doll girl who lives in this creepy house out by the woods...
What does she think to do? Yeah, I'm going to wander around the woods at night looking for this spooky haunted doll.
Yeah, I'll just go walk into the middle of the woods at night by myself looking for a spooky, creepy doll girl because I love dolls. And then she finds her because she gets lost.
And turns out it's not a doll, but it's a vampire.
Which I can see kind of the comparison.
Yeah.
And she points it out later. Vampires kind of look like dolls, you know, porcelain skin. They're sort of kept in the same...
Also, let's not forget the fact that the vampire's name is Sophie Twilight.
You know...
Sophie Twilight.
Sophie Twilight. It is, in fact, her name. It is the name she tells everybody. She also tells everyone she's a vampire. She's very open about it.
There are many names like it, but that one is hers.
It kind of... I mean, if you're going to be open with literally everybody you meet that you're a vampire, why not just have like a super on the nose name like that? Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Because she is very open about it. She does not hesitate to tell the main character. In fact, when she meets the main character in the woods, the main character's like, "Who are you?" And she responds with, "Oh, just your friendly neighborhood vampire wandering around the woods at night."
I find their dynamic funny, where at first I'm just like, oh, is this just going to be one of those shows where it's like, because you could tell from the theme song, very Yuri baity.
Yeah.
But I like how it's almost the humans, the very aggressive one. Like, if you got to drink my blood, that's cool. And she's like, I don't want to do that. I'm all set. That's
yeah.
That's weird. Stop pushing that.
She has to explain multiple times that drinking someone else's blood is creepy and weird, and she doesn't want to do it. Instead, she orders her blood via the internet.
Yeah, off of basically Amazon.
And she gets it. She gets the express delivery.
Also, I like how she'd be like, "Oh man, I'm out of type O. Let me just order that."
And they've got like weird, almost like cheesy, like fruit juice names. Like the yellow was yellow, or the type O blood was yellow. There was there was like a couple of them, because there was A and there was AB, and it was just, I mean, it's weird, but the show does an actual, like, they try to make it seem normal, which is something that I am totally taken aback by. That in a show about a middle school age, like, vampire girl who lives alone in this mansion, the weird person is the human who just imposes herself on her life.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, hey, you're a vampire and you live alone in this huge mansion? Cool, I guess I'll live with you. And she's like, actually, I'm fine by myself.
Yeah, I don't need anyone to live here. But I'll, like, clean and do everything. And then she messes everything up.
Yeah.
She
opens the curtains like, let's let some sunlight in here.
Yeah, that morning sunrise is just some beautiful light to let in here. And she's
like, yes, she's like, this is probably the nicest way if I had to go. And she sees her fading away when the sunlight comes in. And
she's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And she installs brighter light bulbs in the chandelier. And then the vampire's like, actually, I wanted to make this sort of habitable for vampires. So
I like how not only does she impose herself by moving in with the person, but she also starts, like, changing things about the house.
Yeah, immediately. She is gung-ho about changing everything and just making a big mess.
I like how originally, too, she's like, hey, what if I can scare her away by showing her some of my vampire powers, like my super strength? And she brings her outside, and she's holding over her head a roto-roller.
Roto-roller.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, it's gotta be a JoJo reference. Vampire, roto-roller.
It's gotta be, 100%.
And then she runs away, and she's like she sees her holding the roto-roller, and she just closes her eyes and just sprints forward and runs past her. And she's looking at her as she runs away, and she's like, maybe I went too far. Maybe I did really scare her. I guess I get my peace and quiet back.
And then they have, like, because of course they have that one section where the vampire is back alone, and she's like, being alone, I kind of miss that weird person who totally became an inconvenience and imposed herself on me and started wrecking my house.
And then she runs back to the house. She opens the door, and she's like, wait. And she's like, I thought I scared you away. And she's like, no. I needed you to open all these jars for me. I couldn't open them at home, so I went and grabbed them.
I ran home and, as fast as I could, gathered every jar I'm having trouble opening so that I could bring them over.
Which is like all of them.
So not only is she imposing herself on this vampire, she is just straight up using her for her own gain.
And I like when she calls her parents to tell her, hey, I'm moving in with this girl I just met from school. She's a silver-haired vampire.
Yeah, it's a silver-haired
and the mom's
doll
like,
girl.
That's wonderful. And the dad doesn't even say a single line. He's just like, Like, he's just nodding.
They ask if her parents are okay with it, and she's like, oh no, she just lives alone. And her mom's like, oh, it's okay then. Yeah.
I thought at that moment that was gonna, like, be something where she would be like, you can't live there. Like, what are her parents? And she's like, yeah, she lives alone. Well, that's wonderful then.
That's great. You have a lovely time.
You two have fun.
You have fun with this vampire that you just met like a day ago. Just move in. That's fine. Everything is good.
And then the vampire looks at her and she's just like, I see your parents are exactly like you, huh?
Yep. They are. And I really hope they show up for little sections like that where they're just
only over the phone where she needs to call her like, hey, can you send us money? We need to get one of these things. Yeah, that's fine. Huh? Ah.
Yeah, of course you need one of those. I'll send you some money right away.
I think it's not the strongest on our list, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a little bit of fun to watch.
And I noticed, it's actually fun to talk about.
Yeah, because
unlike Funny Girl Senpai, which again, it's got 2 more weeks to show itself like, it could be a stronger contender.
It's still in its trial period. Now we come up to the real thing. The big cheese of the list. Jojo. Featuring our new JoJo protagonist, Giovanni Giorno. Or
Giovanni Giorno.
Gio, which is kind of funny because he is theorized at this point, but it's basically 100% confirmed. He's Dio's son. So now I just realized his name is kind of a mix of JoJo and Dio. Gio. Oh boy, we've done it. We've cracked your mystery, JoJo.
I like how I forgot too that Koichi's supposed to show up.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you didn't get to part 4.
I'm going to be honest. I'm behind on the series, but I still started watching part 5 because fuck it, why not?
He's basically, the gist of Diamond is Unbreakable, though, right? Yeah. He's basically one of Josuke's friends.
Okay.
Like, he's basically Josuke's, like, Kakuin. Like, he's his, like, close buddy that, like,
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Josuke, Josuke wasn't in it at all, but like we saw a glimpse of Jotaro.
Yep, Jotaro shows up for a brief second because he gives that guy
he gives Koichi the mission.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, I think Dio might have a kid. I want you to go look for him. And he's like, okay. He's like, who's this? What's the deal with him? He's like, I killed his father.
Yeah, I killed his dad. So he might be kind of pissed about that.
Yeah, and he's like, is he a good person? He's like, what'd you think? He's like, well, he didn't he just kind of ran away from me. He didn't try to like hurt me.
He stole my suitcase, but he didn't actively outwardly attack me. So maybe, I don't know. And that's kind of how Giovanni is in the show, I noticed. He's kind of outwardly nice, but also kind of shitty to people.
The whole like thing with part 5 is they're basically a bunch of like gangsters. Like they're like a bunch of boys that start like a gang together. So they're criminals, but they're not the worst people.
Yeah, I can see that from how it is going so far.
And I'm sure it's not a spoiler to say that Bruno, the guy that like you licks him at the end, they stick with the JoJo fashion of guy you beat up early on in the series becomes your ally.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't surprise me at all, because I kind of figured as soon as I saw that dude licking his face, I was like, that dude's joining the party at some point, because of course he is. Because
everyone starts out as this weird psychopath, and then like after a couple of punches, it's like I'm like completely normal, and I'm your bro now.
You gotta literally knock the sense into these people.
But you don't want to knock the sense into them too hard, or else they forget they have certain abilities, like Kakuin, where remember he could possess people, he never did it again. He never
did it again because. I don't know.
I'm not sure if like Araki just forgot he gave him that power.
I think
just Emerald Splash at every encounter.
Yeah, that is his move, and I think part of it. I don't want to speak too much, but I think part of it was it would harm people if he possessed them. But then again, you could just use that against villains, and who cares if it harms them when you get out? Because like they're villains, you're gonna kill them anyway.
Yeah.
Well, most of them.
There would probably be some BS about why you can't do it to another stand user. Cause
Yeah. The stand probably goes inside them and fights them. Because I remember that one episode where
it actually happens.
They actually have a small adventure where they go into Joseph's head to fight.
Which isn't good. He's already old, and now they're like shooting emerald splashes around in his brain. And it like mashes up his gray matter to make clones of itself. And I guess we'll just have to destroy them. Like, nothing bad could possibly happen from just destroying Joseph's brain cells. I like Golden Experience's ability.
I think it's interesting. I like having a essentially purely defensive stand at this point.
It reminds me sort of like Josuke's like Crazy Diamond.
Yeah.
Whereas Josuke's he could heal anything besides himself.
Yeah.
Whereas Giorno's is where he can basically reflect back damage.
Yeah, he reflects everyone's attacks back at them.
Which is why he knew like Koichi was a good guy, because he noticed that he didn't like hit him with the intent to kill him.
Yeah, he didn't go full power on him.
Like Shovel Dude, like Leaky Eye Lenny, I think.
Yeah, because he gets stabbed.
I think it's Leaky Eye Luna, maybe?
Yeah, I think it is Leaky Eye Luna. It's Leaky Eye something with an L. Yeah, it rhymes.
He dies in episode 1. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's irrelevant. He's just there to basically show what Giovanni's stand does in the first time. Because basically, he slams him with a shovel, and then he also slams himself with the shovel by proxy, because stand reflection.
And then he gets that guy's fingers shoved in his mouth.
Yeah.
I like that part where he's like, when he's facing off against like Bruno, and he's just like, I can make anything I want appear in your mouth, even that fire extinguisher, but that would kill you.
Bruno is great, and I love him just because he's so fucking weird, and his stand power is ridiculous. And it makes me so happy. I love seeing the ridiculous new levels of stand powers.
Because in Stardust Crusaders, it's really basic.
Yeah, and then it just sort of gets crazier as time goes on.
Yeah, everyone's kind of has a clear-cut thing, and then Diamond is Unbreakable is where you start getting some real weird ones. Where, I'm trying to think of, like, the chef guy. There's a guy who's an Italian chef in Diamond is Unbreakable, and the only encounter with him is he's just cooking food, but his stand like almost gets into the food like molecules or whatever. And when people eat them, he's not a bad guy either. They think he might be, but it just keeps causing a bunch of effects to like make his food like make you like 10 times healthier.
Whoa.
Because at first Josuke's like, I don't really trust this guy, and then he's there with his friend Okinasu, and he's like, oh man, but I'm starving. He's like, here, have some of this, and he's like, man, my shoulder's been hurting. And he's like, yeah, try this appetizer, and he eats it, and then after he's like, and he starts scratching like his shoulder, and like so much skin is like flying off, and he's like, Okinasu, are you okay? And he's like, I don't know what's happening. And then after he finishes and his shoulder's like super shiny, he's like, man, it's never felt better.
That's great. I love weird shit like that, which is why JoJo is it's perfect for weird shit like that, because it's just, what is a thing that can happen? All right, we'll make that into a stand.
And we're going to get another guy with a gun stand.
You know, I loved Whole Horse, because Whole Horse is great. Why be number 1 when you can be number 2? That's where the true victory lies.
But yeah, I'm excited for part 5. We're probably going to be talking about it for a while too, because usually the JoJo seasons are pretty long.
Yeah, but you know, I got high hopes for it because it's JoJo. And JoJo is great.
I know it's going to be long because I think part 5 is like almost as long as Stardust Crusaders. So we'll be on that one for a bit.
Yeah, but you know, it's good content and it'll fill a slot. You know, it'll fill that slot.
So buckle in, kids, because we're here for the long haul with this one.
We're taking a cross-country worth a journey with the the analogy doesn't stand very well because we already did the cross-country travel one.
Yeah, we already did that.
So, but we're in it for the long haul. All right, next is another one that I was pleasantly surprised with. We've got Double Decker, Doug and Kiro, which is just... It's made by the same guys who made Tiger and Bunny.
I think it takes place in the same world, too.
That's actually pretty interesting, because I did like that world when I watched Tiger and Bunny, and you can definitely tell it's made by the same people. Because...
I think it's a prequel, too, like it's earlier in time.
Because,
they're heroes in that, and then...
Yeah.
And Kirill, how do you say it? I think it's Kirill.
Kirill?
Yeah, Kirill is basically talking about how he wants to be a hero.
Yeah, dude is your typical goofball who he's in the police force, and he grew up reading hero comic books, so that's what he's gonna do. By God, he's gonna be a hero. So he joins the police force, and he's actually kind of shit at it.
Yeah, he basically keeps doing whatever he wants. Like, he keeps going off from, like, abandoning his posts and stuff because, he wants to be in the action. He doesn't want to just stand guard somewhere.
Yeah, he gets assigned duty to cordon off the area during emergencies, and he's like, screw that. I'm going to join the action head on. And he does that, and then his boss chews him out because he's a cop. He shouldn't be doing that. Leave that to the experts. The experts at an organization whose name I've actually forgotten because it's been a week since I watched the show.
Yeah, because it airs the day after we filmed this, so it's been a whole week before that.
Basically, there's a subset of the police organization that's kind of secret of
and
people.
They have the Double Decker program.
Double Decker.
The whole time that this show, like, anytime I think about it, I keep thinking of Upper Decker, where you take, like, a shit in the top of someone's toilet.
It's the Upper Decker program. We take a shit in the upper tanks of crime. Oh, that's great. Now, that in and of itself is its own show.
Upper Decker. Upper Decker Doug.
Oh... Basically, there is this drug called Anthem, which gives people superpowers.
I'm glad you remembered that, because I didn't remember the drug name.
I remembered the drug name. I think it's probably because I was telling a coworker at work about it. I was just thinking about it for a second. The redundancy of saying that I was telling a coworker at work. But I was talking to a coworker about it, and I was telling him about it. Because I really liked it. I remember actually really enjoying the personality.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much I liked it. Like, it has a lot of personality and style.
Yeah, it's very stylized. I like how a lot of the backgrounds for the show are sort of this more bland, realistic, post-industrial type thing.
It gives you almost like that sort of like mid-1900s sort of aesthetic. Yeah.
There's a lot of big rusty pipes and a lot of like brown brick buildings, and it's all very sort of understated and brown. But then you have the main characters come on stage on the screen,
and everybody is dressed like it's fucking crazy out there.
Everyone just pops off the screen.
Everyone has their own unique color palette.
Exactly. We've got Kirill, who's sort of this
purple. That is, if I had to describe him in one adjective, purple.
He is purple. He is, if I were to use my graphic design experience describing his color, I would say he is a light lavender color. There is a girl who is pink.
And her nickname is Pink, too, so they knew what they were doing with that one.
Yep, he knew exactly what her defining personality trait would be, and that would be pink.
And then the new girl that joins at the end of the first episode, Green.
Yeah, she is Green.
That's not her nickname. Then Pink's the only one with, like, a color nickname.
Her nickname is Rookie.
Yeah, I like how he's Rookie for a week, and then she joins and he's not Rookie anymore.
Not even a week. He's Rookie for a day.
Yeah.
And then she joins up and he's like, no, you've got her beat by a day, so she's Rookie now. Also,
I love that scene where he's like, we're going to call you Perm. He's like, but I don't have a perm. He's like, that's why I arranged to have you get a perm. Like, I love the manager guy.
Chief is amazing. Or I think he is he boss or chief?
Yeah, I think he's chief. But you know what? I'm going to just I think it's boss.
We'll call him boss. We'll go with boss. Boss is so in love with like crime procedurals and how everyone has their own nickname and gimmick that he decided that every member of his team they're gonna have a gimmick, by Jove, because you've got Veteran, who is Doug, you have Pink, who is Pink, you've got Rookie, and you have Perm or Detective Okapa, because he
didn't want Perm.
He looks like a girl. And they bring that up a lot.
It's a Sunrise show, so, you know, they got those undertones.
Yeah, it's not very subtle. Because throughout the first episode, I think probably about 4 or 5 times, people are like, man, you really look like a girl. And he's like, I know I look like a girl, but I'm not a girl. I'm a cop.
And then one of the other main characters is Doug, who is... He's kind of a weird guy.
Doug he reminds me of, if you've watched Be a New Beginning, there's a detective named Keith, and Doug reminds me of Keith.
Like, the first time you see him, his leg is stuck in, like, a pipe.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's all calm and cool about it.
But he's stuck. He can't do anything. Basically, Kiro goes to actually look for his landlady's cat, because, you know, landlords and that rent, you know. So she tells him to go look for a cat. He goes to a factory, finds the cat with its kittens, and just fucking falls asleep in the factory. And when he wakes up, there's a hostage situation going on, where an Anthem user has a hostage.
And the hostage is one of his police force coworkers.
Yes. The one who is supposed to be like the good cop, he's real good at being a cop. And he's got a family, and his career has all the commendations and promotions he wants. Unfortunately, though, he's been captured by this Anthem user, and he's been shot a couple times.
And that's when Kiro meets Doug.
Yep. Doug, halfway stuck in a pipe because his leg gets stuck. So they sort of work out a plan where Kirill is going to function as a distraction, and Doug is going to use that to get in behind the Anthem user after they confirm that he is an Anthem user.
And then shoot him with his medicine bullets.
Yep, his Anthem medicine gun. Because that's how they beat the Anthem unit people. They literally shoot them with medicine. You can't make this stuff up.
And Kiro tries to trick him with, he takes off all his clothes, appears in a puff of smoke, and then tries to, like, you know, pull a Terminator, like, you know, he's from the future.
I actually loved the hell out of this scene. He literally pulls the Terminator distraction. He's like, I'm a traveler from the future.
I forget, does he even rise up off of one knee?
He does. He does in the smoke. He rises off of one knee, and the Anthem user, who I can't remember his name, but he has a gun for an arm, and that's kind of cool. He's like, what the hell? Where are your clothes? And he turns around and he's like, I'm a time traveler from the future, and there's something important I gotta tell you. And then that doesn't work, because that's stupid. Because one of the main themes is Kirill's kind of dumb, so all of his ideas tend to not work.
But thankfully, Doug is there in the nick of time to give the guy his medicine.
Take time to take your medicine.
Just shoots him.
And shoots him right in the neck.
I like how their car is like a DeLorean, too.
It's like a DeLorean mixed with the car from Men in Black.
Yeah, they mix both of, like, because it's got the DeLorean doors on it.
Yeah. It's like it is a model DeLorean, but when you pull the secret lever and the module comes up and you press that button, boy, are you gonna go into hyperdrive. And
then there's some other people too, which we'll probably get more development later for the crew. There's Boss, which Boss is my favorite so far.
Boss is great. He is just as dumb as Kirill, but he's just on the position. He's a step above him.
My favorite scene with him is when it's the beginning of the second episode, and they have to fire Kirill.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kirill ends up, like, turns out he wasn't actually supposed to transfer in. They were only supposed to get one person, and so they were going to pick the girl over him. And so Boss goes and he's like, I have to fire you, but I'm very sorry about that. But I think the two of us should realize who this is really bad for. This is probably going to cost me a promotion down the line.
Meanwhile, Kirill is like, hold on, I know exactly what's going on. This is a test. They're telling me that I've got a week to prove they're telling me that I need to prove myself, and I'll really earn my space in this unit. So Kirill pulls a gambit. He tells Boss, listen, give me a week, and I'll prove if I haven't accomplished anything in that week, then you can fire me. I'll leave happily.
And in his mind, he's like, no, wait, there's no reason for him to agree to this. There's nothing in it for him at all. And the narrator and then he goes, you know what? I'll do it. And they shake hands, and the narrator's like, oh yeah, that's right. They're both idiots.
Turns out both of them are stupid. And it's great. And it actually works. Because essentially, Kirill goes around with Doug. He gets a hint from one of his informants that there's a big Anthem shipment moving through one of the shipping warehouses by the docks. So naturally, they go to investigate. But there's nothing there. Just crates of monkeys. But what about the crates of monkeys? Meanwhile, there's a prison break going on at a nearby island. How are these two things connected, you might ask?
I forget.
Let me tell you. Turns out, it was actually kind of smart. Turns out, the crates weren't to move Anthem. They were to move the prisoners. Because the prisoners would swim from the island to the shipping warehouses and then sneak inside the crates with the monkeys in it. And then they would escape that way. However, after they track down the Anthem user of that episode, because it's going to be one of those shows where, like, there's going to be a different person every week who is a different Anthem user with a different power that they need to fight. They fight him in actually somewhat of a cool car chase. And they find out who the Anthem user is because he's too beautiful. He injects himself with Anthem to make his face pretty.
Yeah, I like how that's the scene. He walks up to the ambulance. He's like, hey, you're pretty handsome, you know that?
And the dude immediately freaks out and starts driving away. And they're like, oh yeah. And I actually thought that was kind of an interesting way to solve that. Was like, or an interesting way to escape is not posing as the injured guards in the ambulance, but posing as the ambulance drivers themselves. Mm. I know it's definitely been done at least once or twice before, but I still find that fairly interesting.
Yeah. I actually forget most of how that concludes, besides Doug just does the Doug thing and just shoots him.
They shoot the Anthem man after he goes super Anthem crazy with like some weird form that I have vague memories. I just remember it being like some weird coagulation of like a person and weird shit. But then Doug figures out, because there's only the one ambulance with the prisoner in it, so they're like, what happened to the rest of the prisoners? So he remembers that back in the shipping container, there were a bunch of monkeys with bottles of water, and he was like, hold on. I mean, I know monkeys aren't entirely stupid, but I don't think those monkeys would have been able to reach those bottles of water to open them. So they go back to the warehouse, and they find all the prisoners, and they just call the cops on them. They don't, like... Kirill wants to bust in and do, like, a big bust with all the prisoners, but Doug's like...
Yeah, we only do Anthem.
We only do Anthem, and also I'm scared, and I don't want to do it. So they call the actual police, and the actual police show up and arrest everybody. And that's just kind of how that episode wraps up. They have a character moment.
And then he's allowed to stay in the police force, and he gets his battle coat.
He gets his purple battle coat. I don't know why, but he gets it.
And then and then at the end of the episode, he finds out Doug is a comrade, because he asks Doug what his dream is, and he's like, to erase class.
Oh yeah, because he thinks that class is one of the major issues that's
plaguing society.
So he wants to eliminate. Comrade Doug wants to eliminate class from society, and that's just kind of how that wraps up. And I I like the show. I think it's got good personality. I like the art direction. The action's actually okay. It reminds me a lot of Tiger and Bunny, which shouldn't surprise anyone because it's made by the same people. But I think it's a solid pick to keep in our rotation.
Yeah. And then we have coming up after, we have next week's episode, which I remember like they gave the title for it. I think it's My Rival is My Partner's Rival.
Oh, yeah. The rival character is going to be introduced, which, that'll be a thing.
Oh, and the other people that I didn't mention was the 2 girls that are also there, the 2 lesbians.
Oh, yeah.
Because they kiss in, like, the ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, one is white and the other is yellow. Those are their color schemes, and that's basically all you got to know so far.
Yeah, that's not this. We're not making any sort of race assumptions on these people. That's just the primary color schemes for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Tech Girl who does tech things. She's just, how every cop show has like, I'm the guy who sits back at home base with the computers and I do all the computer stuff.
Yeah.
That's her job.
I think she's Boss's partner because, everyone's like...
I think so. It would make sense.
Because they're double deckers. You got to double up with the deckers.
You're doubling up all your deckers. You got one decker, that's not good. You need another decker.
Oh, and then there's a plot line sort of where Doug's former partner was killed, so...
Derek
and Doug, they lost the DD.
They lost the DD, the double decker.
They had the... imagine, like, that probably was, like, the biggest, like, loss at that, like, facility where they had double-decker Doug and Derek.
They did have it. Now they've got double-decker Doug and Kirill. That doesn't have alliteration to it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Disappointing. Well, I bet Boss was crushed about that thematic difference.
Yeah.
He's like, we lost the alliteration. We need a perm man now.
Yeah, we need a guy with a perm. That's what can fix this squad.
So I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Me too, actually.
I'm enjoying this season more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that there are as many shows that we enjoyed.
And it's still a few more days before Skeleton Man airs.
Yeah, Mr. Han, the skeleton who works in a bookstore.
I'm real excited for that one.
Me too. I gotta know. I got a hankering for a skeleton in a slice of life drama.
And there's a few more that haven't aired yet, but yeah, we'll get back to those.
Yeah, we'll get
to those. Things can always be added and removed, Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah, we can always replace those low tier picks for some higher tier picks.
Yeah, and now speaking of picks, let's go for a middle tier pick with Hinomaru Sumo.
Yeah. Have you watched Ippo? It's Ippo.
I have not.
Well, it's Ippo.
Cool, now I can watch this instead of Ippo, right?
I mean, basically. Because basically the premise is you've got a guy who is short, but he really loves sumo. So he spends his whole life bulking up and being all awesome sumo man to make up for his lack of height. And
then he goes to a school which he hears has a good sumo program. Turns out it's the wrong school, though. He went to the wrong one.
Yeah, he went to a school with a real shitty sumo program.
But he met one guy there that is just as into sumo as he is, where the guy's out practicing by himself sumo.
He could tell because of his loins.
And then they find out the sumo club there at that school has basically been taken over by delinquents who don't care about sumo whatsoever. They just want to hang out in there and be delinquents.
Because delinquents always need to hijack some classroom or club room to do their various delinquent things. And
so basically, the shy guy, which is what I'm going to call him right now, he's the guy that the main character meets. And
Best friend sumo man
ends up just practicing by himself since the delinquents took over the dojo.
And he's a big coward. He's a big coward baby.
And then the sumo guys basically the delinquents go and destroy his sumo circle that he made.
Yeah, because I believe his name is Onimaru is the main character. He confronts them because, of course, this is a sports anime, so about a physical combat sport. So the main character has to be the most honorable person ever. So he confronts the delinquents because a dojo is hallowed ground. And then the delinquents, in retaliation, just
I like how his thing is God is watching always to people.
God is watching. I mean, you know, it is a thing he says all the time, and it's actually like, it's kind of weird because he just says it.
Also, it's weird how we see it. Like he's wearing his like. I forget what it's called, but the sumo belt thing, the diaper.
His mawashi belt.
Yeah, he's wearing his mawashi, like just on the train.
He is on the train going there, and he actually sees a high school girl being molested by some creeper on the train, so he confronts him. However, when they get off the train, he is pulled away by the train attendant because they think he is the pervert, because he's just wearing like his school jacket and his mawashi belt. So this dude is clad in basically a black jacket and thong on the train. And he's like, no, I was dressed like this because I wanted to impress him with my sumo passion.
And he basically challenges the leader of the delinquents to a battle for the dojo because, you know, you gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta.
And naturally, he is the strongest man ever.
Oh, yeah. So the way that the delinquent decides to do it, he's like, oh, it can be any rules that I want. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, all right, I'm going to punch you for 10 minutes. And if you can stand that, then you win. And he's like, okay. And so he wails on this dude for 10 minutes.
15 minutes.
15 minutes because they added an extra 5. And he's only hitting him in the face.
He just punches this dude in the face. And, like...
Well, this is the point where this, like, it starts getting, like, you know, like, real unrealistic with this level of, like...
This is where I kind of had the most fun with the show. Because I was like, okay, 15 minutes of this, like, large man pounding on someone's face.
Like, yeah, because even the best fighters in the world couldn't, like, you know, do that
That's a shit ton. And his rationalization for this is... Well, I know that in sumo you lose if any part other than the heels of your feet touch the ground, so naturally I need to stand my ground in all situations. And it's like, okay, dude.
Yeah, there's also getting a concussion, buddy.
Yeah. Although, I don't know. Does the muscles in his face just negate
Here's the thing, dude. The guy's hands are at the end of it are like completely like swollen and like
his hands are busted.
Whereas his face is fine.
I think he spits out like maybe 1 drop of blood at one point, or maybe he just spits just for effect. I don't know.
And that dude's in the opening, so you know the delinquent dude's gonna end up like, you know, joining the sumo.
Yeah, it's very clear that man with... Okay, he showed up. I thought he was a teacher at first, because the dude looks like he's in his 30s.
And I think they're like 3rd year middle school?
He is a 2nd year high schooler.
Okay, they're high schoolers.
I
think they're going into high school.
Yeah, he's going into high school. So Onimaru is a 1st year. This dude is a 2nd year, and he looks like he's in his 30s.
Yeah, he's huge.
You've got serious Jotaro high schoolers with this, because even the delinquents themselves look like they're dudes in their mid-20s.
Yeah, they look like grown men.
And they're just hanging out in this
like take any other high school show and like compare that to like oh yeah, you see these 2 characters, same age.
Yeah, it's crazy. But he beats the main delinquent in a, I don't even want to call it a battle.
Yeah, because he
gets punched in the face a lot
and then hits the guy once.
With
like almost like he just kind of palms him, like does like a palm slam.
He does the sumo palm, because he waits the 15 minutes and then the henchman is like, wow, I even added like an extra 5 minutes just to be sure on that one, and he still took it. And Onimaru is like, that seemed a little bit long for 10 minutes. Are you sure that was 10 minutes? And after the timer is up, the main bad guy throws a punch, and then Onimaru says, oh, now I can fight back. And then the show actually, I kind of liked how the art style switched to the heavy, like pure black and white sketch.
Yeah.
As he just like light speed moves in, palms him once in the stomach and takes him down. I think if it's more like, if the art style during the sumo matches sort of changes like that.
Yeah, because we haven't had a real proper like sumo fight yet.
Yeah, he's done a practice match with his best friend. And I did think it was kind of interesting that when they did their practice match, the background switched to like a actual sumo arena filled with people. I think stuff like that is kind of good for effect.
Yeah.
And it's just, I like things like that. So, because it breaks it up, you know? It's not just one static thing or fight.
I like how the characters in this world react to sumo like the same way most people do, where it's like that thing where two fat guys in diapers like hug each other.
The main character challenges the main delinquent to a sumo match, and everyone just laughs at him because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That would be so ridiculous if you just randomly challenged someone to a sumo duel. Because what? But you know, I think if things keep up like this, I think it could be the better of the sports anime coming out this season.
Yeah, we didn't watch Boys Who Run. Perhaps we missed out on the greatest sports anime of all time, but
you know, some part of me doubts that. And the one archery anime that's going to be the beautiful looking anime is going to be nothing.
Yeah, that still doesn't come out for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't expect anything particularly interesting from either of those.
So if we got to do this one of the sports ones, this is the sports one we're doing.
Yeah. So hopefully it turns out as good as Ippo, because Ippo is very good. But I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
And that's everything we're watching currently. Again, we could add some more stuff. I guess, do you want to give any shout-outs to those who did not make it?
Oh, look at that waveform. That's great. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. All right, this has been Playing with Waveforms, our newest segment. I don't know. I think there's Beyond the Sea and the Sky or whatever, that crappy space fishing one.
Oh yeah, because we were like, oh man, space fishing, that might be cool.
It was not cool. It has possibly one of the most irritating main characters I've ever encountered ever.
I get that they're like, oh, we're just gonna make like, you know, this hyper Genki girl. No, she's just a moron. She's a spaz. There's lovable airhead who's like full of bubbly energy, and then there's a character who is so stupid that she can't do anything right and just shouts everything at everybody all the time, and I don't like that. I didn't like how they're using. Look, again, we were talking about this. Is it gods that they use or is it just like a program? Because
they have to like pick a guardian deity from a phone app.
I love that scene where they're getting in already a stupid concept, where they're getting in the submarines to go space fishing on like the space fish hatcheries.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? You didn't download the app that lets you summon guardian deities?
Like, is that just a thing? Can anyone do that? Is that just an open market app?
Can I just get that for like, you know, do they only help with fishing too?
Also, one of the problems I have with the core concept, it's like, girls can't be fishermen because we're big, strong men. But they do it in submarines. Like, you don't actually do anything. You're in a submarine.
Yeah.
Why can't women do that? That makes no sense to me. It's not good. It's not good. I would not recommend it.
I was hoping it would be at least, you know, stupidly entertaining, but it's just stupid.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
And I don't really care about seeing where it goes.
I mean, I don't think there's anywhere interesting it could go.
All the space like fishing places are right there, so it's not like, you know, they're gonna travel anywhere. And it's just them fighting
large sea creatures.
Also, did like humanity had to have set these up, right?
I don't know.
Because why would they put in deadly giant, like a monster fish?
There is a giant enemy crab in the episode.
It's like, hey, did you know this was based on a video game?
Did you?
Yeah, it's based on a video game. I don't know if you knew that.
You know, I mean, in the episode, you just see people driving around in a sub. You know, there's nothing video game. Oh, but there's giant fish they need
Don't forget
to
about
catch?
the app. You gotta pick the good one. Like,
And you
oh
gotta
man, she
pick the
picked the
phone
worst one.
Of course, she picked the worst one. She's stupid.
Yeah,
so
she's an idiot.
She went with the cute one, which is also the most worthless one. It doesn't even have a weapon. Because also the deity you pick determines what weapon your sub has.
I don't know why I don't know why any of this is designed this way.
I don't know.
Everything's dumb.
Everything is dumb, and it's not enjoyable.
And that's why that show is not sticking around.
Yeah, that was a unique, just cross the board. No, we're good.
I'm gonna flush that one down the toilet.
No, we'll flush it into the space hatchery.
Yeah, flush it down the toilet, which coincidentally leads to the space hatchery.
There's a big pipe. It just goes right through the pipe, and it gets dumped with all the other industrial waste into the space ocean.
That's how the giant crabs appeared.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else off the top that was just like, oh, there was Radiant, which was the most generic thing I've ever. You didn't even watch it.
I didn't even watch it because you told me it was like, eh.
Because like, you've got a main character who is, you know what it is? It's Naruto. It is Naruto almost exactly, but with just a different setting that's still also generic and nothing, because you've got the main character who's a rambunctious kid who does nothing but get himself in trouble, who wants to be the best thing of whatever he is.
The best thing of that universe.
Yeah, he wants to be the best sorcerer.
That's Black Clover's plot, which is already Naruto.
And everyone hates him also because all he does is get into hijinks. Oh, and
is this like based after like an older shonen? Because it's like,
I don't know.
That is the plot of like
everything.
Yeah.
And he naturally has an older teacher who is much better than him at everything, who is grumpy.
But does he have a rival character who's cooler than him?
Not. You know what? Not yet, actually. Not in the first episode. I will also say the monster designs, because there are big monsters called Nemesis. They are also nothing. It is black amorphous blob, or the one that shows up at least is black amorphous blob with white mask. Like anything.
Like the early Bleach monsters?
Like the hollows.
Yeah.
It's basically a big hollow.
Oh.
But it's a hollow, but somehow it manages to be even less interesting than the hollows. Because at least some of the hollows had kind of cool mask designs and like weird gimmicks to them. This was big thing, and it punched hard. And it beat the main character. And actually the first episode ends on a cliffhanger.
Oh.
Because
you want to see more.
Basically, picture Old Man All Might with a wizard hat shows up at the end to save the main character.
Fist Wizard.
And everyone shouts their moves, because everyone also always has to shout their moves. And his is Bravery Breaker or something like that. And at that
Sounds
moment,
about right.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I expected. And it's nothing. It is nothing new. So if you want to watch something that you've already probably watched 1,000 times that adds nothing new, watch Radiant. However, I will not, because fuck that show.
We mentioned Rewrite a couple of times. Maybe we should basically Rewrite. A bunch of stuff happens in the first episode. Probably too much stuff happens.
Because most of it is irrelevant by the time the second episode comes around.
Yeah, basically, they found he's a scientist. Him and his buddy were like, oh man, we found something wrong with the robots. And then the guy who runs the company doesn't care because, you know, he's a corporation guy. He only cares about money.
He doesn't want to make a recall because of this catastrophic bug where if...
they can easily be, like, controlled and hacked by somebody or whatever.
I think it's if, like, more than 1,000 of them are given the same order at once, they will all lose control and go crazy. So, naturally, the main bad guy was like, nah, it's fine. And one of the main characters, the main character's best friend, I think, is like, well, actually, we heard the rumor that they're being used in the military. That sounds like this exact situation where the bug would come into effect. And the main bad guy is like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. It's great.
And then they're like, well, we could keep working, but it's your daughter's birthday party.
Yeah, and then they do that whole scene with the birthday party.
And they got, like, the singing and stuff, too, and you're like, this is going to be a really deep show. This is going to be a really deep one.
Oh, this is going to
hit... The music.
It's going to hit all the emotional points. I don't think
it's going to be the most emotional show you've seen this season.
Oh, my God, my feels. It hits me right in the feels every time. I don't think I've ever been more stone-faced during what is supposed to be an emotional scene ever.
And then, like... Basically, the whole thing with the plot is that he ends up, him and his friend, the main bad guy decides since they know about the bug and he doesn't want to do the recall, he's just going to kill both of them.
And he also kills the main character's dad.
Yeah, he kills the main character's dad, he kills the main character's best friend, the main character... Oh yeah, the daughter of the main character's best friend's name is Magi, but it's spelled like Mage.
It's Mage. We're going to call her Mage.
He's like, go protect Mage, and then he rose and falls down into a conveniently placed cryogenic freezing chamber.
Yeah, and like the scene that comes after where I will use just gratuitous air quotes, falls into a cryogenic chamber.
Yeah, it's just there. He's like out. They're out on a highway driving, and then he runs off the side of the road and falls in a hole. Yeah, into the woods.
And then he just like there's like a hole in the woods that leads to this facility, and there's just a cryogenic chamber that works, that is just open, and I use quotation marks when I say he falls into the chamber. At first, I actually thought he just laid down onto it. That's how poorly this scene is directed and animated. I thought he laid down willingly into the cryogenic chamber. I was very confused.
I think he might have, like, he falls into the chamber. I don't think he falls into the thing. I don't know.
Well, actually, I don't know, because thinking about the description now, I'm trying to remember if it said he falls into the facility itself, or if he falls into the anyway, he ends up getting frozen for 10 years.
He gets frozen for 10 years and he wakes up and it's Terminator.
Yeah, it's Terminator.
There's giant there's killer robots everywhere that are trying to, like, you know, just murder anybody they see. And then a real post-apocalyptic like guy who's really handling it well comes by in his supercar.
John Connor.
Yeah, John Connor shows up with his daughter and they help save him. And then he keeps seeing the, like, weird visions of his friend's daughter trying to, like, point him where to go. I think.
He also does... In the past, he worked on this weird time travel
thing.
Experiment. And then his friend's daughter does it at one point and goes into, like, a coma or something. And then he just keeps seeing weird hallucinations of this girl. And it's not very good because it doesn't even seem to impact the plot at all, ever. At least I only watched the first 2 episodes.
Same, because, you know, I was like, I don't want to watch the rest of these. I don't like this.
The main character is effectively a cardboard cutout. Dorito. He is a cardboard cutout of a Doritos advertisement. And all he does is just... Actually, I bet you would get more personality out of a Doritos advertisement.
Yeah, because they always try to stand out. Like, every commercial is going to be really, like, crazy and weird.
So a man who has less personality than a Doritos advertisement...
I'm picturing Chester Cheetah, even though that's a completely different brand and a different product.
Chester Cheetah definitely would have livened up the series.
Oh, if he was the main character, that would have been great.
That would have been amazing. But instead we have this bland cardboard cutout whose name vaguely sounds like Doritos, and he does nothing. And there are various scenes that are supposed to be like, I guess they're supposed to be character building scenes, but no one does anything that leads to any character whatsoever until the second episode, where the main character meets a little girl who actually does a personality thing, which is part of the reason that I decided I'll stop at episode 2, because he meets this little girl who shows him a Pinocchio book. And she's like, do you know how it ends? And right before the main character tells her, she's like, you know what? Don't tell me, because I made up my own ending. And I think that Pinocchio becomes a real human, and then he becomes a chef. And he makes all kinds of delicious foods, because I can't think of anything better in life than being able to just make all kinds of delicious food and eat it. And at that moment, I realized a character just had a little bit of development right before my eyes.
And it's probably like one of the least relevant ones.
Holy shit. Like a side character had a developmental moment. I've been watching 2 episodes of this show, and I haven't seen the main character do that once. Or any other main character do that once.
Yeah, it's a lot of reacting and things happening.
I hesitate to call it reacting. I would say it's more of the main character stares at something with just a blank expression. Because as I was describing the somewhat heartwarming moment of a girl describing how she thinks a book should finish, it cuts to his face and it's just blank. He has no expression whatsoever. And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh.
I guess that's how you are, Doritos.
Yeah, it's not a show I enjoyed watching or really felt the need to go further with.
No, it's not good. It's not good stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of stuff I didn't find that good, Squidman.
Oh, yeah. Squidman.
Squidman.
This is the Trigger show. And it's a Trigger show.
I just felt the whole thing was just, like... It felt just so, like, just lazy. Like, he's got no memories. And then the rope.
What's his backstory?
To be honest, I sat there thinking, like, seeing all the things I see in, like, a Trigger show that I'm like, that's probably never going to get a satisfying explanation. Or what about that? I'm probably never going to get, like, conclusion out of that. I don't care anymore. I don't care. Like, the whole episode I was watching, I'm like, I just don't care. How much longer? 15 minutes left? Ugh.
I watched it and I was like, how much longer till he fights the thing?
And then that wasn't even that entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, I actually was like, maybe that will save it, and I'm like...
It did not. In my opinion, it made it worse.
Yeah.
He gets beat, and then the main girl character...
Types to him,
which for whatever... She doesn't even, like, type him anything inspirational. She just types him that the monster's neck is weak and that he should attack it. And for God knows what reason, this makes him more powerful. Like, because it's the part in every battle where the main character is losing the fight. So he needs to figure out what to do and sort of rally. And his rally is, hey, the monster's neck is weak. And he's like, I'm filled with her words.
And then we gotta figure out, like, what's going on with Gridman? Like, he's just like, hey, like, you must fulfill your purpose. And I'm like, I don't care what his purpose is. I'm not even gonna ask what that is. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to do it. I'm like sitting there in despair, looking at this show, like, I don't want to watch this.
And
it's a shame. It's the only mecha show this season, besides, unless if you want to count, like, Fit Girls Fishing.
I wouldn't even count that, because that's
they're piloting a thing.
They're piloting a sub. It's not even like a mecha. Yeah, it's just a special sub. I mean, they're cool subs, but it's not any. And even that wasn't any good. But it's just like
nothing like, and because they use the amnesia thing, which it's just so like whatever. He doesn't know anything, so I don't know anything. So he's like,
It's the laziest way to have people that a main character knows describe themselves to the main character again.
Yeah. Also, it wasn't even like best friend character. That's not like hard.
It's the person
love interest.
The person I thought the person who was going to be his best friend was just, he wasn't even like broken up about it. He was just, oh yeah, well I just met you this year, so like that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
like we've only known each other since April.
So
it doesn't even matter.
Has our main character not encountered any other human beings until this 1 year in high school? Is there... Because his parents are away on a business trip.
That was... Like, everything about it was lazy setup.
It is... Like, even talking about
Also, everyone's so nonchalant about the amnesia thing. Like, his classmates are just like, wow, I guess it's just like you're a transfer student. You're not going to be like... Holy shit, he doesn't remember anything.
This dude doesn't remember who he is.
They take him to the hospital and they're just like, yeah, they said I'll be good in a little bit.
Yeah.
What hospital just sends you away after that? Like, I have amnesia. I don't know who I am, where I'm from. You'll be okay in a little bit. Go home. I
just woke up in this girl's house and I didn't even know how to get here. She had to bring me here. You know, you'll probably be fine in no time. You can just go home.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
thanks.
A bad hospital. Oh, so she's like, yeah, before the hospital closes. They do that?
Yeah, the hospitals close in Japan? Is that a thing?
What happens if you're, like, stabbed at night?
I guess, I guess people just don't get injured or stabbed at night in Japan.
If you do get stabbed at night, you get to become a slime.
Yeah. You get resurrected as a slime. Just make sure you read off as long a list of special abilities as you can.
It's like Gridman even as like a thing. It's not like he's not that cool of a robot.
No, even his design looks like something they just lazily ripped off from one of their other shows. It's bland and boring and just not interesting. It's boring.
Like, at least, like, for even some of their other shows, whether you like them or not, they have like stronger hooks.
Yeah. It feels like even Trigger at this point is getting bored with doing mecha anime. And that's like, you've been doing mecha anime for too long when you just start to get bored with it and just, fuck it. He's got amnesia. He just met these people. They think it's fine. The hospital closes at like 9:30.
His parents aren't there. They're on a business trip, so he can just go out and do whatever he wants without any consequences of that.
Yeah, and we don't have to deal with the actual effects of like... And
at least the vampire show made it funny with like the parents just like being like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, turning the trope on its head a little bit.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, that's fine, sweetie.
Because absentee parents are just a thing.
Yeah, they're not absentee, they're just stupid and weird people.
Yeah.
Like, no, they don't even... Apparently, they don't have phones because he couldn't call his parents, or no one called this kid's parents to be like, hey, I know you're on a business trip, but your son has amnesia and doesn't remember anything.
But it's cool. The hospital sent him home even though he doesn't know where that is, and he'll be fine in a few hours.
The doctors said he will probably be fine. If his I won't even say best friend, if his associate friend character didn't know where he lived, he would not have been able to get home.
I'm more freaked out at the fact that he's not even that broken up about having amnesia.
Yeah.
He just kind of goes home. He's like, I'm home. Okay, I guess I got school tomorrow. I'd be like, I'm not going to school. I don't know who I am. This is a huge problem.
How did he get to school? Oh, no, his friend came to pick him up. I remember that. But... I would not go to school. How do you... Also,
he got, like, I think the female character texted the friend using his phone, like, hey, it's me, so-and-so, I'm using your friend's phone. He's got amnesia, so can you come bring him to school tomorrow? I would personally, if I saw that, and I'm just like, he doesn't have fucking amnesia. Is he fucking around with me?
I mean, that is what she says when, oh no, she doesn't say that about the amnesia. She says that about him talking to a like old shitty computer.
Yeah, which I would have, like, not even just the amnesia thing. If he's already, like, I don't remember who I am, and looking at the sky, like, you see that kaiju thing, I'd be like, this dude hit his head real hard.
This dude has some sort of brain damage.
Like, this dude needs to be at, like, the hospital right now, not just, okay, let's just stop and get some donuts along the way.
You know, I'm getting kind of hungry toting you around everywhere. Let's go to a Konbini, get some donuts.
Yeah, let's hit up a beanie.
Let's hit up a beanie, grab some D-nuts, you know. Just be super cash, you know. It's, oh my god.
It's like, it's amazingly bad. Like, and not like fun bad, but like, you know, like it makes me angry sitting there. Like, people don't act like this.
People do not act like this.
That's not how a human being behaves.
Exactly. It's lazy. It's not written well.
Yeah, and almost like it takes me out of it because it feels like none of the characters give a shit either.
Yeah, yeah.
Like no one gives a shit. It feels like this was so like forced to be made that no one wants to be in it.
The most excited any character was the quote-unquote friend character once he thought it would be like an anime or a manga that he likes.
Yeah.
That's the most anyone got excited. It was like, this is like one of my Japanese animes.
I feel bad for the characters who end up, like, they're excited to be the hype man.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I don't get any cool powers, but it's so cool when my friend has cool powers, so I get to, like, be like, yeah, get him!
They might as well rename this character Speedwagon, just by how much he shouts what's going on, just in scenes.
Which apparently he needs, because Gridman doesn't have the ability to pick up on any of that, like, oh hey, the guy's neck is literally crumbling.
Well, it helps that for whatever reason, the computer that they have gets real close-up angles on the monster's weakness.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I don't know what's taking these, like, you know, shots.
Because they're obviously not from his perspective. I don't know. It's just...
And we probably won't know.
You know what? I'm okay with not finding out.
Yeah, and you know what I feel most related to the female character? At the end, she's just like, I'm just done. I had enough for today. I'm just done.
The school is on fire. I'm worried about my friends. This day has just been super chaotic. I just want to go to bed. Get out of my shop. Oh, yeah, and then they go to school the next day, and the school is fine, even though it was on fire.
Yeah.
Just because, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, no, nothing matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's another thing that's just...
the whole thing with the show.
It's another lazy thing that they can do that just nothing matters. The school is fine. I bet the girl who died is back. I bet she's back and everything's fine.
All that matters is every week you get to see a giant robot that's CG punch another CG thing.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of funny because I noticed that after he tore the weird monster's head off, it looked like what was inside the monster was like, you know that 90s screensaver where it's all the different pipes?
Yeah.
It looks like that. And that made me chuckle, but I don't think that's how it was supposed to be. I don't think. I don't know.
Fuck if I know.
Lazy shit.
And the last thing that we dropped, which I don't actually have that much to say about, is Bakumasu.
Oh yeah, Bakumasu. There's rogues and
there's wogues.
Gotta play my wogue.
My wogues. Sneaking around with our wogues.
Sneak around with our wogues, get a sneak attack damage. There's just like Japanese rogues in the Bakumatsu period, and then there's like a weird stopwatch that a ninja steals, and then the timeline gets all weird
because they see some sleeping blonde guy.
Yeah, they see a sleeping blonde guy, and then they need to fight all the generals from Japan's history and all the dangerous warlords.
And they go to a different world where their outfits change.
Yeah, because time gets all fucked up. So I guess Japan interacts with Western, or actually, that's not even something. That's just something I was assuming by watching.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, you go take the Shinsengumi and just put them in a bunch of, make them look like they're about to put on a magic show, give them like top hats and
like they're like a male idol band.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that was the vibe it's going for, because every guy is handsome.
Yeah.
It's like that's their goal with this.
For whatever reason, only after the timeline gets all fucked up, all the guys are beautiful now.
I think there's 3 chicks this entire show.
Yeah.
There was the ninja girl and...
Oh yeah, very provocative ninja girl who is very, very clearly not wearing anything that would be a ninja.
Yeah.
It's just, she's wearing a skin-tight
Was there anyone
black
else
suit.
besides the ninja? I think it's all by shonen men.
I don't think so. I think it is all men.
And they're just...
And they're there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't care about it.
I think some of the time travel hijinks could have been interesting, but that's probably not what they're gonna do with it.
I think they're done doing that. I think they're there in this world.
It was only a method to get them there.
I think it's an excuse where they can mess up time, but they're in a different timeline, so it's okay if, for example, they kill Okita Soji in a sword fight.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually mess up the timeline.
Yeah. But I think that's all for that. That's because there's not really anything to it other than, I guess the idea is kind of interesting, I guess, but other than that, there's not really anything to it. But
yeah, there really isn't. I'm okay on it.
We have talked about the best, and we have talked about the disappointments, and I believe that is all we have for today.
Yep, we still got more coming, and we got to figure out more structure for I was thinking maybe at the end of the season we do a ranking where it's this show was number 1. That show gets to sit in the protagonist seat.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Which of these shows will get the protagonist seat? I think, to be fair, we might have to exclude JoJo from the list just because, of course, JoJo would get the protagonist seat. That's just not fair.
Technically, it's not going to be ending this season either.
That's true.
It's going to be going on a bit.
So don't worry, we won't just
JoJo's in another classroom.
We love JoJo, but JoJo's the teacher. JoJo is the teacher of the classroom.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. It's doesn't need us to tell us, hey, you can sit in the I was sitting in the protagonist seat in the 80s.
I used to sit in the protagonist seat. Now I lead the classroom. But I have high hopes for some of these shows.
Yeah, I do too. I think we got a good crop here. We're gonna add some more, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen next week.
I was pleasantly surprised, and I look forward to what the future awaits for most of them.
I guess
7 out of 8.
7 out of 8. And my closing statement would be, you better step it the fuck up, Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah, you better fucking step it up right now, or you're on the chopping block. You're gonna go to detention.
You're fucking done. You're fucking done. You got 1 week to prove yourself. You got 1 week to get this shit together.
You got 1 week. You know what? Take the Kirill challenge. You got 1 week to pull your shit together, Kirill, or something that's not as good as Kirill, because Kirill was great.
Yeah.
Beat
all right.
Kirill.
We will see you next time on the protagonist seat.
As always, I am Ian.
And I'm the other guy.